Hello, everybody. Happy August. I hope everybody's doing well. First time reporting to you for a couple of weeks here. It's been a busy real estate year, but also some personal projects going on that we've just finished up in the last little bit. So, of course, I wanted to get back to you and keep everybody updated on the market, let you know what's going on in Kamloops nowadays. So just referring to some of my stats here and crunching the numbers after the BC long weekend, and now that July is done, very interesting to see once again that really since the post-COVID market, which really was halfway through 2023, certainly starting in 2024, the market in Kamloops in terms of sales and also average and median price has been incredibly flat. And that trend has continued into 2026. So the numbers that I've looked at here are comparing January 1st to July 31st of 2026 versus the same time frame in 2025. Now, I do want to clarify, I've said this in previous videos, the numbers that I am looking at are only in Kamloops. When you look at, maybe Castanet or any of our association numbers, they are looking at what's called Kamloops and district. So they are including in their stat package smaller communities like Chase, Barrier, Logan Lake. And for me personally, I work almost entirely in Kamloops itself. Those numbers, I think, are skewed quite a bit. So I like to shrink that down to Kamloops only, and those are the numbers that I'm talking about. So you might look at some of these other news headlines and be like, well, those are very different than what Adam's saying. That's why it's so different. So when you're looking at sales, again, January 1st to July 31st, they're almost the same as 2025. A 3% increase in 2026, but again, relatively flat. Where it's really interesting, and once again, practically speaking, it doesn't seem like this is possible, but the average and median sale price in Kamloops is almost identical to 2025. I truly had to triple check these stats to make sure that I had it right. But when I look at it here, the 2026 average price, $681,890 versus $681,944 in 2025. So those numbers are almost identical. And then the median price actually is identical, $648,500. So that's really crazy to me, especially when I think about all the sellers that I've worked with this year. Again, it hasn't been a fun year. It hasn't been easy for sellers. Most have had to do price reductions at some point in time. So you look at these average prices and you think, how is it even possible that they hold up? Well, my thought on that is that single family, which is a category that just continues to be sought after in communities like Kamloops, are holding up those average prices, specifically for townhouses and condos, which really have struggled to sell this year. When you look at the months of inventory, again, all we're looking at there is the number of active properties versus the number of sales in the last 30 days. So 162 sales in the last 30 days versus 836 active listings. That gives you months of inventory of 5.1. So that puts us in balanced market territory. Again, it feels like it's a buyer's market right now, just the way that it is practically out on the street, but the numbers don't lie. And then in terms of interest rates, I'm always looking at ratehub.ca. That's where I get most of my information. There hasn't been huge changes really for the last couple of months of interest rates. The 5-year fix is kind of 4.5. 3-year fixed is about 4.25, and then variable rates are actually still quite attractive if somebody is willing to take on that little bit of extra risk, if you will. The last thing that I want to say in terms of the stats, a little bit unrelated to real estate, of course, is just unemployment in Canada. I was reading an article today about July increasing in terms of jobs, and the unemployment rate has dropped to 6.4%, which is supposedly the lowest it's been in 2 years. Hopefully, this is a long-term trend for the Canadian economy. And again, hopefully that is helpful for real estate sales as momentum starts to build as well. Now, the very last thing that I want to say in this video, totally unrelated to real estate, is a free plug for the BC Wildlife Park and also my own Rotary Club, which is Kamloops West. For any of you that live in Kamloops, have spent time around Kamloops, the Wildlife Park is an absolutely amazing place to take kids, go and see animals. You can ride the train. There's just so much fun stuff to do there. Well, the playground and water park have needed work for a long time. They've literally been more or less falling apart. So the Wildlife Park has been fundraising for the last couple of years. They are currently building the new water park, and the playground is going to go in shortly. They have a great fundraiser, which is linked to our Rotary Club because we've raised a lot of funds for the park. Basically, you can buy a brick, 3 different sizes of brick. You can engrave it with, your name, family member's name, even a pet, in memory of whatever you want to do. And those funds raised go towards the overall project. So I put a link for that program in the email below. If you love the BC Wildlife Park and it resonates with you, please click on the link. Go and check it out. How cool is it to have, the name of somebody that's going to be in the park forever? We are going to put our son Jack's name on one of those blocks. And, in 10 or 20 years, he'll be able to go and see his name on that patio, which is pretty sweet. So anyway, go and check that out if that's something that resonates with you. So thanks again. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their August and the rest of their summer months, and we'll see you in September.